Ivan's disappeared.
Still healing.
Oh, okay, mate. You're in the dark.
Yeah. Keeping a low profile.
There's a few more joining.
We'll give it a few minutes, then we'll start it.
It's just about time to start in here.
It should come on there now.
That's Brian, I think.
Yeah. I think she'll mute you. Oh, there you go. You want? Unmute. She might mute you.
Tested, please, your copy. Thank you, little one.
Okay.
This is Graham Barrett.
That's surprised this is on the other. Not often.
Oh, eating me bickies.
All right, we might start the meeting. I don't know if we'll get that many people tonight being State of Origin night, but that's okay. At least we've got a few people on. So tonight there's a few apologies. Don sent his apologies and Ben has left the meeting. He has work or something. So the sales table report, Ben said to pass on the message that there's not much to report, but that John Butler has been in contact and his soft mix that he makes is going to be available soon. So is anyone interested in that? Ben was wondering just before, because the club will put in an order if people are interested in it.
How much will it be, Maddie?
I think Ben and Justin break it down into the little packets.
Yeah.
But we've got to buy it in bulk, obviously, to then get it to the little packets and yeah.
Yep.
That's all right. Does anyone?
I know from experience it wasn't overly popular and a lot of it ended up being thrown out. So I'd say if people want to get it from John, they can go to it.
Yeah, and John's only at the Hunter Valley, so I mean, or Cessnock. So yeah, you can buy direct from him as well. And Brian, did you have something to report for the secretary and membership report?
Sure. Hi everyone. As that you would have received in the last magazine. It's now time for renewals. At the moment, we have 309 members, financial members, plus sponsors and other honorees. So it's probably the most number of members we've ever had. And so, as I said, renewals have started. You would have seen the form that was in the magazine. Hopefully you found it inside the envelope. If you haven't found the renewal form, it's in the envelope. Go and have a look at it before the recycling goes out. I've started to get a trickle of renewals already, and with the renewals you can buy some raffle tickets for the end of year raffle. And there's also details in there about the auction. So looking forward to that next month. Thanks, Matty. Hello, Matty.
Oh, sorry. Thank you, Brian. And Lynn, did you have the treasurer's report?
Yes, it's at the moment cash at bank has $23,750.19. Other than that, there's not much, unless it's all being done into the bank through credit card or whatever when they buy from Ben. Yeah.
Very good. Thank you. And moving on, Sam, did you have a government and representative update?
I do. There's a bit going on at the moment. Hang on, I'll just get up on the screen so I can see what I'm doing.
Do you want me to stop share?
I can if you like. Yeah, all right. I'll share it. Yeah, I'll share it. Yeah, just a sec. So this is actually from Federation's meeting that was only last week. So in terms of licensing, not great news at the moment, but we did meet with all the Labor shadow ministers, which is amazing, really, that ACA, they contacted us. They wanted us to meet with them. So the Shadow Environment Minister is Kate Washington, who is terrific. She has committed to, we talked about a number of issues in terms of Animal Care Australia, but on the licensing issue, she is going to ask, well, she's behind the scenes, she'll be asking questions of Matt Keen's office, and she's going to ask a question in Parliament, to formalise that, to find out what the hell's going on. There's also Adam Marshall, who's the Ag Minister. He's mentioned a couple of things on that biodiversity review that his office has now only just implemented. So we're pushing again there. And also Matt Keen's Chief of Staff, Christian, seems to be anyway, the way he talks to us, is very much on our side. And I think he's starting to get a little bit irritated that the National Parks Bill haven't done anything. So look, it hasn't happened, but it's still on the cards to happen. Victoria is about to look at a new Animal Welfare Act in that state. So we're looking at that. I won't go into huge details, but similar to what's happening in New South Wales. There's a whole heap of stuff going on about parrot exports and also imports. But specifically, there's issues with CITES in terms of parrot exports. Because for those who don't know, there's only for finches, on CITES, we only have the red siskin on Appendix 1, and I think we have the Java sparrow on Appendix 2 of CITES. They're the only two finches that are kept in captivity anywhere in the world that are listed. So it's not a huge problem. It would be a problem if we wanted to export red siskins or Java sparrows. For parrots, every single parrot apart from budgerigars, cockatiels, Indian ringnecks, and peach faces, every other parrot, all our, skull-chested parrots, turquoisines, all the neophemas, they're all included on CITES. So it's a huge issue for the parrot people, this issue, but I won't go into details because we're a Finch club, aren't we? COVID-19, meetings are starting to be run again. Depends on the state. In terms of Federation, we're not going to worry until probably March next year, and it sounds like the Finch Club will do the same. Bird sale code of practice. There's a new revised code of practice that actually Jason Forrest, who's a member of this club, and also another Finch guy, Bruce Golby, who's the president, who may be here. I'm not sure if he's in this meeting, from Canberra Finch Club. Were terrific, helping draft that with myself and obviously a lot of people from Federation. So there's a brand new version of that. And it's probably something that we should look at maybe at committee level, at least initially, but it's on the Federation website. If you go to, so I'll show, maybe I'll very quickly show you. If you go to Federation's website, if I can get to my bloody web browser, I don't know why it's not going. New tab. So the idea of this is that we've got a, so we'll influence our sale next year. We're not having a sale this year, but this is a first draft. It's going to come, the idea is that at the February and the March meeting of Federation, well, here's the timeline here, February and March meeting of Federation in 2021, we'll have a look at any draft comments that clubs come up with. The aim is that we'll then create a second draft that'll be circulated at the May 2020, so Federation meets every second month, May 2021 meeting, and then we'll approve it in July, and then it'll float around, and we'll print thousands of copies. It'll go to all the bird sales next year, and then it'll actually be in force from 2022. And the idea is to preempt the government, so that we've got this in place. We've got something that's a bit more robust than what we've had in the past, and that everybody in New South Wales agrees to. So it's sort of split into sections. Look, there's nothing, I won't go into any of the details. If you want to go and have a look, and by all means, talk to our committee here at this club, or if you're a member of another club, get them involved as well. There's basically standards, which are the things that we would expect the club to enforce. And then there's guidelines, which are sort of things that we're saying, look, they're not enforceable, but, this kind of, it wouldn't be a bad idea. So the green things are the things that we're saying the club enforces. And there's, anyway, it goes on. I won't go into any detail, but go and have a look on Federation's website. It's under the documents. It's under that documents tab there and that's it there where it sits. It's the most recent document on there. If you want to have a look at that, I'll jump back to where we were. The parrot risk assessment is still going on. Won't talk about that either. That's for bringing parrots into Australia, quarantine and all that sort of stuff. We're a long way away from finch or passer islands finches coming into Australia, unfortunately, but we're still working on it. It's possible we're trying to kind of, I guess, say maybe let's do that with New Zealand first. Let's try and do some imports and exports with New Zealand, because there are actually a few finch species, the European chaffinches and yellow hammers and red poles and things that would be really simple for us to import, and they certainly would like some of our birds. I think that is all I've got to say on the government stuff. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. All right, so next on the agenda was the major raffles. So as Brian said earlier, there's forms for that when you do your renewals. You can just add it in at the bottom, or on the actual auction day, there will be an item, there'll be listings, we'll discuss it in a bit, but there'll be listings like that are the auction items, but there's also sellable items that are just to be sold. So that'll be like the sales table items, but you can also purchase tickets on the day, and then there'll be a cutoff time, probably around lunchtime, 1 o'clock, and that's when we'll draw the raffle. First prize is a 6-bay carry case from Stressless Carry Cases. Second prize is Russell Kingston's The Finch, A Breeder's Companion Handbook. Second prize is a hand-painted egg from my friend in Bali. He's hand-painted it and sent it back over. The fourth prize is a $100 Biosupplies voucher. And last prize is a $100 MacArthur Pence voucher. We did swap that one out. That one's a new prize from the fifth one, but it'll be it's in the flyers. And next thing is the auction. So you would have heard us mention it at the past meetings, and then also if you've read the most recent magazine, we've got some details in it. Tonight we're going to try and do maybe a mock auction just so we can get familiar with the website. But I thought first we would just discuss what the committee have discussed and what the current plans are. So at this stage, we have organised a few different pickup locations that we think would be a good idea. And then we just need to get volunteers for a few of these locations so that instead of everyone congregating at the hall, there will be certain locations to pick up. So for example, Dad and I will take the birds to Central Coast. We might meet on the freeway somewhere, maybe at a Rimba, and then everyone that's in the surrounding areas can come to that location and pick up from us. And we mentioned that maybe if someone's further up north, say Cessnock or Hunter Valley, they might be able to pick up just from Dad and I and then continue on further up north. These are the locations that we discussed. So we might be looking for someone that's further up north, Cessnock area to volunteer. Northern Beaches, Wollongong, Blakehurst and southern suburbs, Ivans volunteered. Brian Reed's volunteered for Hornsby area, and either Sam, Ben or Jason, one of the three, will do Campbelltown, and then maybe we thought like a Penrith, Blue Mountains kind of area. So if anyone would be interested, you don't have to say right now, but if you want to get in contact with one of us to express interest, even if you can't do the deliveries, we do need about, probably I think we said about 10 or so more people for the, or a handful of more people for the actual day to help booking in the lots and things like that. Is there anything else, Sam, that we were mentioning?
Do you want me to go through the sort of how it would work, maybe?
Do you want me to stop share and you can share the screen?
Yeah, okay. Yep. I'll try again. I'll just, I know that it was in the magazine. Sorry, there's just some people in the waiting room. I'll just send that in. I know that it was in the magazine, but maybe it's worth me just quickly going through it. What's happened here?
Sam, there's a bit of noise in there. Can you mute everybody that's not speaking so that there's no interruptions?
Yeah, just I'll just go to the website for the option. I'll just mute everybody and then I'll unmute myself, so give us a sec. And then you can, oh no, I'm still fine. You can hear me, yeah? So perhaps I'll just quickly explain how it's going to work, just from what was in the magazine so that people understand. If you're a seller, what you'll do is you'll fill out an auction entry form, which basically just lists your name and the details of each lot that you're going to have. And you'll just show up on the Sunday morning, probably from 6 a.m. through till about 9 a.m. with all your birds, and you'll just drop them off. Then what we'll do is we're inside the hall. We're going to have 4 groups of people processing the birds. So there'll be 4 sort of stations, probably 2 in the meeting room and 2 out in the main room with the sort of catching cages we normally have for our sale attached to them. And one of those groups will be given your seller birds, and they'll take them and they'll transfer a pair of birds into a show cage. They then photograph them, put them on the website, and then transfer them straight into the transport box that they'll go to the person who ultimately buys the birds in. And you know, we'll do all the admin and stuff. So that'll be the process, and then we'll give you your empty cage, the cages that you bought your birds to the sale in, and you can, you know, if you're not staying as a volunteer to help, you go home. There's no need for you to come back. All the lots will be sold. So they'll either be sold to buyers, or failing that, they'll be passed in, and the price that they're passed in for, which we haven't 100% sorted yet, the price that they're passed in for will be what a local bird shop will buy them for. So we've already got, there's a lot of bird shops actually who are interested in. It's just a matter of us negotiating the prices. There'll be something like, probably something a little under what our book price is, what our price guide is. So you'll do okay no matter what. And based on, I mean, no one can guarantee anything. Who knows what happens with an auction? But based on other groups that have had auctions, particularly budgie people, but others as well, it goes super well. You'll probably do way better, I suspect, on the day. We're restricting it to about 250 lots, and we'll just see what comes in. So you need to put the form in by the Friday afternoon so that we can assess that and let you know on the Saturday whether you're fine to bring all your lots. Because obviously we wouldn't want to have, 100 pairs of painted finches, for instance, So we might have to balance it. And it might be that there are way more than 250 lots that want to be entered. So we'll have to sort of say, listen, we restrict it. Everybody can only have 20 lots each, or maybe, we just take a couple off each, different people to make sure that there's not 50 pairs of painted finches. And we'll do that process on the Saturday, whilst, before the auction starts. Then on the Sunday, that'll all happen. And then the auction takes off at 10 o'clock online. So the whole thing's online. There was some confusion about that. You bid online, you pay online, you have to pay using a credit card or PayPal. It'll all be processed by PayPal, but you can just, you don't have to have a PayPal account. You can just pay with a credit card is fine afterwards, just like it would be on eBay. And this is, I'll just show you this web so that when you're a buyer, what will happen is you'll end up with, I'll get rid of some of those other screens I've got floating around. Because is that coming up? Everyone can see that, yeah? Yeah.
Yeah, it works.
So when you come in, for instance, see that URL up there, that's the URL for this test auction that I've done just for tonight, which has only just started and it's going to end at 8:45. So it's a complete dummy auction. Nobody's going to have to pay for anything tonight. So you can go to that, if you're on a computer, over the next hour, just go to that website, go to that URL up there. 32 Auctions is the company that's hosting these auctions, /FSA November test, and log in, create a login name. It'll ask you to do that, and then bid on some of these items. So at the moment, there's some featured items, but if I go view all items, there's, I can't remember how many we added, Maddie. You said 10 or something like that anyway. Looks like there's 9 items there. So there's a whole lot of silly items. So you'll just click on an item and then you'll place a bid. Okay, so you can type whatever you want, bid $100 or whatever it is, and place a bid. You're not going to pay for anything tonight, okay? When it's the real auction, obviously, there's just some people wanting to come in. When it's the real auction, obviously, when you place a bid, it is to a certain extent binding. You're expected to pay if you win. There'll be a description of what the birds are. It'll tell you who the breeder is. This pickup, this area here, this pickup shipping instructions, that'll include all the stuff Maddie was talking about. It'll give you the addresses for Campbelltown, Central Coast, Northern Beaches, etc., and also the Prairie Wood Hall and the times that you can collect the birds. And then there'll also be when you win an item, it'll also give you options to choose. Once you've won the item, you then choose where you want to pick the item up from. So you choose one of those locations. Sort of the equivalent of choosing express post or standard post, I guess. Instead, you're going to choose, Campbelltown, Penrith, Central Coast or something as your pickup location. And then if you win the auction, then you go to that location which will be later that afternoon. So you'll go there, we'll have to work out the times because obviously we've got to physically get there. It might be between 6 and 8 p.m. You go to the Dan Murphy's car park out the front of MacArthur Square in Campbelltown. That's probably where we'll be, in Campbelltown. And you'll find the person there with a whole lot of transport cages with your birds ready to pick them up. So can I encourage people to log into that website, I've lost whatever the URL was, FSA November test, I think 32 auctions / FSA November test, and just bid on some of these items, and practice bidding. It doesn't matter. Nobody's going to have to pay. So try that. And then what else? In terms of the sellers, so they're not going to get, like, you as a buyer, you'll pay for the birds that day. You'll get the birds that day. The birds that are passed in, or ultimately if somebody doesn't pay at the end of the day, when they've won a lot, it'll revert back to the person who was the next highest bidder. And if they still don't pay, ultimately the birds would then be passed in, and they'll end up going to the dealer. So for sellers, you're guaranteed that you won't get any birds back. You'll just get money. Now that'll take a little bit of time, because all the money is processed by the 32 Auctions website into our PayPal account. Once that's all sort of sorted and the money's all in the PayPal account, we'll go in and transfer it to our FSA account. And then, of course, during the week, we'll then have to reconcile all this. There are some fees involved. There's bank charges and things like that, and credit card charges that come out of each auction. And then the FSA is going to take 10% at the end. It worked out when we looked at an example. I think if a pair of birds sold for $100, I think you ended up getting, was it nine? I think after fees, you got it ended up at $96.50 or something like that. So you've lost $3.50 on bank charges, which is, that's life, isn't it? 3.5%. And then you'd lose another 10, and then you'd lose another 10%. So if your bird sold for $100, you would end up getting something like $86.50. But look, the sense is not right. The general idea is roughly correct. So expect that it's going to be something like 13.5% less than what you see on the website that your bird sold for. So the buyers pay exactly what's on the website. If it's a pair of finches, they'll be paying another $15, because that's the cover for the transport box. If they return the transport box some stage later on, we'll give them $10 back. So if you buy a pair of birds for $200, you'll be charged $15 for the box, which is sort of the shipping charge. So you'll be charged $215. The seller, their fees based on the $200, they'll get $200 less that 13.5%. So they'll be down to whatever that works out to, $180 or something. That they would get, and we'll sort all that out and hopefully get the money transferred. That'll be on the seller form, transferred to sellers certainly by the end of the week. I'm not sure if have I missed anything. If anyone's got any other questions, so the auction will end at 2 p.m. But if someone's bid on a lot at within 3 minutes of 2 p.m, the auction it automatically extends, and it'll keep extending for 3 minutes up to half an hour. So there's not sort of that. It allows you, if there's competition, you can actually continue to bid. So there's no real advantage in sort of trying to bid at the last second, if you know what I mean, because all that'll do is extend the auction for 3 minutes. So you've got time to think. You don't have to sort of be in a mad panic, I guess, as long as you put in a bid, within 3 minutes of it ending. If someone else bids, you've got time. You've got that 3 minutes to keep bidding if there is competition, which I'm sure there will be for some lots. Have I missed anything?
Sam, I might have missed it. Did you mention when the birds would be delivered to Prairie Wood?
Yeah, so the sellers bring the birds between, I think that, maybe between, well, you'd hope between 6 and 8 a.m, but I guess up to 9 a.m. would be fine, really, wouldn't it?
Yeah, because we just want to have enough time that we can really book in the birds and not rush it, because it's going to be a tedious job, so that we can start the auction on time.
Yeah, and the fact is, if your birds are late, well, certainly if you can, you'd be better to be early. If you're a seller and you bring your birds late, there's a chance that the auction for your birds won't be able to start at 10 because they won't be booked in and photographed and up on the website. So it'd be better if people sort of got there, well, at least before 9, well before 9, and most sort of earlier. Yeah. And I mean, by all means, I think sellers can sort of, if there's people, I know there are some people from up north, there's no need for sort, you can kind of carpool, I guess, drop your birds to your mate who then does the next leg, who then drops them with the next one, and bring the whole lot down, because all you're doing essentially is dropping them off, and getting your whatever boxes you've packed them in back. That's it on the day, and then you're heading home.
Yeah, I was going to say on that point as well, there was a few people that have registered that aren't necessarily in New South Wales or close to where like the pickup locations are, which is fine, but just make sure that you've got something organised, like you could get a friend that's picking them up to take to the airport for you or something like that. So interstate people can be a part of the auction, but you've just got to work out amongst yourselves how you're going to get the birds to your house.
Yeah.
And then we're going to try, I don't know if it will, but we'll try to get out some sort of flyer with a lot of those details before the auction. We might try and do the next magazine a little bit earlier so that we can have a last bit of like all the dots. But we did have a fair amount of detail in the last magazine as well. So just give us a call if there's any questions, or if anyone has questions now, you can ask them as well. But just, I think most people are on mute, so you got to unmute yourself.
And certainly the seller registration form will be emailed. A copy of that will be emailed to everybody who's on the email list. Well before, well, at least a week before, so you can fill that out and get that back to us.
Yeah, and you can fill it in earlier as well. It doesn't have to be the day before, because we'll just have the portal up and just start adding to the website.
But it's absolutely critical you get it to us on that, that sort of afternoon of I think it's Friday, the 4th of December, so that we can, nut out exactly what birds on the Saturday morning. And I guess if you're thinking you're going to travel, you don't want to be carting birds all the way down and find that some of them aren't able to be entered. So it'd be good to be well in advance.
Just important too, Sam, that people register on their website for the auction site. Make them aware of that. They've got to register, set themselves up.
To bid, you have to register. You can go and watch for free, but as soon as you want to bid, it'll force you to register. You won't get. I think if you, I am logged in, so see this place my bid. That you just won't be able to do that. All you'll see is the Norwegian blue parrot and the and probably a message that tells you to log in to bid. But while you're sitting watching the meeting in front of a computer, just log in now and to this auction that we've got here and place some bids.
There's a bit of competition for the green strawberries at the moment.
Oh, is there?
Mr. Greenaway.
Do we mention the licensed birds and the need to have a license number?
Well, you can, Brian, mention it.
Well, we need to, if you're going to be selling licensed birds, you need to be able to give the license number. And if you're going to buy them, you need to be able to give a license number as well, because we won't be handing them over to a seller unless we've got the license number. So if you were to bid on a licensed bird and you don't have the license number, we won't give them to you.
By rights, it's license number, address and name.
Yep.
So if you see here, like this, so this that's on the screen now. So these green strawberries, which we thought were gone in Australia, didn't we? But actually, there's heaps of them. A whole flock of them on offer this evening to the highest bidder. At the moment, the highest bid is $480 bucks. It's just
we're at 505. We're at 500.
Oh, it's gone up again, has it? Maybe I've got to hang on. I'll refresh this screen. Oh, it's at 500 now. So there's been 5 bids, and there's the bid history. Oh, Jason Holmes has got them at the moment. So you can. I'm not sure whether you can.
I think that's probably just admin, maybe.
But I can as an admin.
Yeah, I think we can only see that, Sam.
Yep. But it'll show you how many bids, and it'll tell you that you're the highest bidder, and I believe it'll send you emails and all that sort of stuff too.
Yeah, it does. Has
to
been.
let you know. And this auction automatic, well, it's saying up there, 42 minutes and 17 seconds to run before it ends. But don't just bid on the green strawberries. What about these Peter's twin spots? You know, nobody's. Oh no, there are two big. It's nice, and we've also got some violet ears. Pair of violet ears. Look, oh, there's 3 bids. They're up to $500 already. The violet ears. And this one here, the French white mill, put that up because there'll also be buy it now items, which will be all the sales table items. You know, for those items, you might want to get, you know, 3 lots of whatever it is, charcoal or something, you know, or 5 of some little plastic dishes, whatever it is that Ben sells, you know. So they'll all be there. For those ones, you just buy them straight away. Same thing with the raffle tickets. You can buy them during the auction as well. We'll, at the end of, once the auction's over, after 2 o'clock, we'll assign, you know, numbers to everybody who's bought all the raffle tickets, including the people who bought them, you know, through the normal system, particularly those as part of their membership. And we'll draw the raffle and we'll announce that as well. I think what we'll do on the day, we'll probably also sort of have a live feed on Facebook. So that people can kind of watch the auction that way too, if they wish, to see what's going on in the hall and show you sort of, you know, here's all the birds ready to go and all that sort of stuff.
See the birds live kind of thing.
Yeah, try and make it look a bit more exciting and suck a bit more money out of you poor sucker buyers. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it will be something very different for a lot of people, but I think it will be good. And the website, like, I recommend having a little look through it, even if you don't have a chance to tonight, just even on the normal auction page. It's very straightforward, and I think it should be pretty simple for everyone to work out and use on the day. Plus, there's all of our contact numbers in the magazine. So if there's any dramas, just give us a call and we can try and help people through on the day or prior if you've got questions as well. Does anyone have any?
There's toucans in Australia, did you? Okay, I'll let you move on.
Anyone have any questions? No? All right, well, we might move on to my presentation, or mine and Dad's presentation tonight. So unfortunately we had a last minute change of plans. So we thought that Dad and I would do the presentation tonight. It is similar to one that I have presented in the past at a few clubs. So if you have seen that, I've tried to change it up a bit so that it's a bit more focused on our most recent Avery build, as well as how I got into the birds, things like that, and a few of our favorites. And if anyone has any questions, same as normal, we've got the YouTube running that we'll keep an eye out on, and you can just pop in and add tips and ideas and things along the way. We don't mind. So where did it all begin? I think a lot of people often ask me, how did I get into finches? How did I end up being president of the Finch Society? And for me, it was 4 generations of bird keeping. Starting with Jack Fish, who was my Dad's grandfather. He kept canaries and a few different birds. He passed it on to my pa, Tony Fish. This photo was taken at the Queensland Convention 3 years ago. So yeah, we should have gone this year, but that's all right. We'll reschedule for next year. And Pa and Dad kept birds in Sydney for many, many years. And my pa was actually secretary of this Finch Society in the 80s. So we've got a bit of a family link to the club. So that's how it's passed on through the generations. And one of the Averys that I'll show you in the next slide is actually an Avery that my dad and my pa had when they used to live in Sydney. So this little one on the far side, that was the one that they used to have in their Avery, in their house in Sydney. It's been moved a few times. This is one of our section of Averys. We do have a new Avery build that we'll discuss at the end of the presentation, but basically for us, we live in a built up area where we don't have acres and acres of space to build Averys. So we make do with the space that we've got. So each of our Averys are divided into smaller breeding sections. They are about 1.8
1 metre wide, 2 metres deep, 2 metres high, roughly.
And in these aviaries, particularly these first 3, because we are limited on space, we don't want to overcrowd. And we've found that over the years, the best way for us to breed in those aviaries is to have 3 pairs max, maybe 4 if they're pretty docile birds, but 3 pairs max has been the most successful for us, particularly in this middle aviary. Last year at one stage we had Cordons with a nest of 5 babies, Stars with a nest of 5 babies, and Ghoulians with a nest of 5 babies all came out within a few days of each other. So when you've got a situation like that, we couldn't have had any more birds in there. It was jam-packed. So as soon as the babies were ready to be moved, they got moved to our holding aviary. And then just a few other things with the aviary. We've had to put up an electric fence around outside because you might hear him howling. We have a big husky and he didn't like the birds when we first got him. It's now off. We don't have it on at all anymore, but when we first got him, it taught him a few lessons and taught Dad a lesson too if we got too close to the aviary. Another thing that we've got on our aviaries that kind of by default, we didn't intend for it to build onto the aviaries, was this orange trumpet vine. It grew over from our neighbour's fence, and it looks beautiful when it's in flower, but it also provides really, really good insulation for all of the aviaries. So during winter, it's quite warm inside. During summer, it's quite cool. It's a good thing. And we've had a lot of people question if it'll get like rust or holes and things like that. But this first aviary I built with Dad when I was eight, and that's about 15 years ago now. So yeah, 15, I don't know, it's a fair few years ago, and this aviary is perfectly fine. It's got no damage from this vine whatsoever. So
good advertisement for Cole Western sheds.
And our feeding stations. So in every aviary, we have one of these seed hoppers that we got from Bob Collier in Tamworth, in Queensland, and he sent them down for us. And for us, they're really effective because particularly during winter when we don't have daylight savings, Dad and I don't get to see the birds until it's dark. So we need to ensure that there is plenty of seed throughout the week and we're not going in disturbing them constantly. So these hoppers will last a fair few weeks for us. I think we put new ones in every 3 weeks or so. It depends. In breeding season, they'll go through it a lot more than in non-breeding season. And then these little trays we put in daily. They're our live food trays. So they're just a ice cube tray actually from Kmart. And we just put mealworms, maggots, and the sprouted seed in those, and they get that each daily for each aviary. So this was actually when I went on holiday. So what I did was I filled them all up to the brim and just stacked them all in the fridge so that while I was away, my friend just had to put them all straight into the aviaries and there was no fuss whatsoever. So they're really effective for us. And the other thing that we do in our aviaries was a tip that my pa told me was bay leaves in the seed. So we found that if you don't have the bay leaves, they help to stop the moths and things like that, which we accidentally did a trial of this because one of our big seed drums, we forgot to put bay leaves in. And when we came back out, it had all moths through it. So they must be working. And we just put in the big seed drums, we put a little pouch full of the bay leaves and that just keeps all the moths away. And then in each of the aviaries and the feeders, we put a little bay leaf in each. And then this is in the aviary. Each aviary this is the old setup of our water. So luckily Dad's a plumber. So he was able to fit out all of these. Did you want to discuss them?
Okay, so what it is basically stainless steel drum or a dish, and I use ag cell. I cut out some little slots and put some bricks in it, actually pieces of brick to weigh it down. And just means that when baby birds land on it, they don't drown.
And then each day the aviary, we've got an automated water system. So each day in the morning and the night, and maybe during the day when it gets warmer, we have it automated that it just turns on itself and feeds all the water for about a minute and then shuts off. So that gives it enough time to wash it out a little bit and refill it. So they've got fresh water throughout the day. Each aviary also has one of these feed stations. This is when we first built the other aviary, so it didn't have everything, but the normal setup will have rock salt, cuttle bone, and like eggshell, grit, stuff like that, and eggshells, charcoal, normal seed. Sometimes they'll get red panicum as well. And the next slide. This was one of our Ghoulian hens during breeding season. You can see her nose is her beak's very black. I couldn't even put the eggshells down before she went crazy on them. So we just, if we've got eggshells, we just keep them in a container, and then when we're ready to feed them out, we put them in the microwave for a few minutes just to cook off the bacteria, and then let them cool down, and then just put them in the aviary, and the birds just go crazy on them, particularly in breeding season. Nest sites. So in our aviaries, particularly because they are small, we prefer to give them lots and lots of variety. So this was Dad one afternoon, I think it was after a bird sale, when we realized we bought too many birds, so we needed more bush. So he went and we got some more tea tree bush, and we fill up these big wire cylinders with the tea tree bush, and it's fantastic for the birds.
It's 100 mil square.
Yes, I recommend that over the chicken wire. We did have an incident one time with a bird getting stuck in the little chicken wire joints. So the square is a lot more safer for the birds. One thing that we do, which some people say to do, some people don't say, is the nest boxes. We put them all on the same height, so to reduce dominance. I think some people say to put them at varied heights because then that means the dominant pair goes to the top. But for us and for our setup, we've found that to keep it all at one height has been the most successful, but we do give a lot of different variety. So there's lots of little boxes, big boxes, little circle holes. We've also got rectangle ones, a whole range of different boxes. And these little cane baskets are fantastic for the littler birds like orange breasts and Cubans and Cordons. These are some more nesting sites that we had. We experimented with an old pipe offcut type thing. This very haphazard nest was actually a Cuban's nest, and the entry was down the bottom. So they would fly up into the nest, which was quite interesting to see. This box here, we took a photo of to show a few people, because I think sometimes Ghoulians can get a bit of a bad name for being lazy when they build their nests, but we had a few hens that we bought from a singleton sale, and every nest that they built was full of feathers and had a little shoot off to the side, similar to like a parrot finch nest. And they just built their nests like crazy. So that's what these two were. And this one down here was a painted's nest, which they normally line theirs with charcoal as well, which I'll talk about in a little bit. Holding aviary. So a holding aviary for us was imperative because, as I said before, we couldn't keep multiple birds in the one aviary. It just became too overcrowded. So we recruited Pa's backyard, and we've set up the aviary at his house. And this was a process of when we made it. So we turned his old shed into an aviary and just put wire on the front of it. And there was a bit of a butcher bird problem. So to make sure that we didn't have any deaths with the birds, we built a double wire system that's on brackets, so that when you go up to the aviary, you can just pull it out to the fence and it hooks into the fence. And then when we're not there, we just close it back off again. We also built, this was like a bit more of an upgraded system to our original water station. So the water gets filled in there and then overflows out to like the garden in front, so that we don't have heaps and heaps of water piling up within the aviary.
And I have wire over the top of the drain so no vermin from outside can come in.
Yes. And then another thing that we did was we've got this little ladder set up in the aviary as well. But you'll notice up the top here, it's flush against the wall. So we found that when we were going to catch birds, if it's just stuck there, you can't catch the birds because it's in the way. So what we found was it's hooked onto a bracket, and then you just unhook it and it lies flush against the wall so that you can catch the birds easily. So the best advice that I've been given I've only been doing birds for a lot less than most people, but my best advice is observation is key. And that was something that we've definitely learnt with a lot of our birds, that particularly in our setup, being that there's only a few pairs in each aviary, we really have to watch them to make sure that the pairs are getting along, that they're compatible, and that there's not any interference between the birds. And I think once you start to observe them, you notice different things, and then your breeding will be a lot better. For example, we had a pair of painters a few years back, and this poor boy just kept building nests, and every time the hen just didn't want a bar of it. And it showed to us that maybe compatibility is a bit of a problem there. So as soon as we swapped out the hen, within a week, we had a new nest built, and then they had babies, lots and lots of babies there on the next slide. So, and then the other thing is just to experiment. So we've got lots of tips and ideas in this presentation, but if it's working for you already, there's no reason to then go out and change your whole setup to suit what someone else does. So you've just got to experiment and see the different climates and the different environments are going to change different things. And these are a few of my favorites. I think I do have a different favorite all the time, but these are like the 3 core favorites in finches that I always go back to. So first is the Cordons, and the second is the orange-headed Ghoulian. So they were the first birds that I ever received from Dad when I was real little. So they kind of kicked off the passion for me. So they're always something that I'll come back to. And this one is actually in our new aviary. It's one of our birds that we bred last year, and we're breeding with him this year. So fingers crossed he has some nice looking babies too. And the other favorite is pink ruddies. So it's been a lot of months trying to find some new pink ruddies that didn't have pied in them or something like that. And finally, we did find a few, and we've been lucky to breed a few, but not very many. It's a bit of a slow process with the ruddies. So if anyone has presentations that I've done, I think I've done a few in Queensland and down here, you would have seen when I've discussed in the past exciting moments with our Ghoulians was first that we had this little blue boy maybe about a year, but unfortunately he never made it and we lost all of his parents. So we thought. And so the presentation initially was that I was quite disappointed that I never could breed the blues. However, touch wood, this year we have this little stunning boy popped out of the nest of one of this one's relatives, and he is looking beautiful. And this is him probably about a week ago. He's got a white chest, which was a bit interesting, and he's got a full blue back. So fingers crossed he turns out to be a lovely boy and we can finally breed with a blue that we've bred, which would be fantastic for us.
He'll have the orangey type head.
Like the black.
The orangey brown face.
And then this is just a few pictures of our Ghoulians that we've bred in the past. This was one of our favourite boys that we bred. And this one too. And this was my pink ruddy success story. So these birds here were what I got about December of last year. I flew them over from South Australia. So they had quite the trek, but they had 4 little gorgeous babies, and fingers crossed they keep producing. They've got a new nest at the moment, so we'll see what happens, but it has been a bit of a slow progress. I think my next move will be to cross them out with a few normal birds to try to get a bit of a stronger bloodline. Painted finches is something that we've always kept in our aviaries, and we probably always will. They're just such a tame, beautiful bird. We had them actually at the Easter show. The club had them at the Easter show, and they were a very big hit with the public because they were just so interactive the whole time at the Easter show. They were right on the wire, and it's the same in our aviaries, and they always stay together in their little packs. The number one way to know that a painter, one of the ways to know that a painted is breeding, is you'll see lots and lots, if you've got charcoal in your aviary, lots and lots of little bits of charcoal on the floor. So when they're getting ready to breed, or when they're building their nest, they like to use lots and lots of charcoal, and they'll line their nest with charcoal. And actually one time when we were up at Craig Greenway's house for spring into finches, we witnessed one of his painteds carrying probably
basically a little 10 mil pebble.
A massive piece of charcoal for a tiny little bird, but they really like to line their nest with that. A lot of people say it's back to like their natural instinct that they used to build nests in the wild over like really thorny bushes, so that's why they build such a wonderful platform for it. And this was something exciting that we had about a year ago, was some fawn painted babies popped out, which was very exciting. We unfortunately didn't get to breed with him, but we do have some orange painteds at the moment that, fingers crossed, have eggs. They've got eggs at the moment, so hopefully there might be some babies soon for them. So that is the mating call. I don't know if hopefully you could all hear that, of a Cordon finch, which is probably one of my absolute favorite birds. They're just stunning, and particularly when they're breeding, you can hear them from inside their house. They just mating calls all day long. And this was one of the little babies. When they come out, if they're a little bit undercooked, they got some little furry hair on their head, which is a bit cute. Diamond firetails, for us, they're one of Dad's favourite birds. However, we've not really had much success with them. So we did breed, we had a few pairs and we bred one little baby, but unfortunately, two babies, they decided to jump on probably one of the worst storms we've ever had on the Central Coast. So they didn't make it, but in the new aviary, we've got two new pairs of diamonds. So we're fingers crossed that they might do well for us this time. They have built a nest in one of the boxes, and there's one always in the box. So we think that might mean they have eggs, but we're not going near it, are we?
That made it too hard for me to look.
Just more birds. Oh, we bred a orange or a yellow fawn St. Helena. So that was a pretty exciting moment for us to come home to one day. And we're about to actually pick up some more orange saints on the weekend. So fingers crossed we can breed with some of them, but that's in the future. And some successes that we had last year was our Tricolored Nuns. If anyone would like some Tri-Nuns, we have a lot, because they bred like little rats. They just went crazy, little mice, they went crazy. So they haven't stopped, just constantly breeding nest after nest, and then they'll have a break for like maybe a few weeks, and then they'll be back at it again. And we had great success last year with strawberry finches. Not so great this year, but we'll focus on last year. We had, 5 babies from them, and then we unfortunately lost the hen. So that was a bit disappointing, but it was very exciting to have them breed, and hopefully we'll be able to get them back in the future. Now to the new Avery build. So this aviary, actually, if anyone saw our exhibit at the Easter show, the Finch Society's exhibit at the Easter show, it was that aviary that we bought from the Easter show. So we were very lucky to get that from Cole Weston, and we modified it a bit. It had a walkway all the way down the back, but we've taken that out so that this could be my big finches and soft-built aviary. It was a bit of a trek to get it built, but we did. And because we took out this back walkway, we've had to reinforce it with a pole here, which we've replaced with like a big tree trunk. So it looks pretty natural and cool. and then I'll pass it on to Dad to do the Avery Build side of things.
Okay, so what we did was I set the Avery up on sleepers to level it, which also made it a lot higher than what it normally would have been. Basically, I then went about doing vermin proof. So around the outside edge of the sleepers, I poured concrete down below the footings. Then I dug out the ground, 200 mil below ground, and I laid the wire mesh, which is crossed over, chicken mesh. I laid 100 mil of blue metal, and then I put the soil back on it, and in doing so, leveled out all of the ground, so as I can still plant, I can still have a natural aviary, but we don't get any mice in there. Okay, so this is some of the setup we've got. I made a water dish, or to the side here, the first one on the left is a little feed station, which will be a catch station, hopefully. I haven't tried catching birds in there yet. And then here I made up my own water dishes, inspired by Avery and Barnes' setup. So I haven't finished it yet, so I've got to put a drain line off the bottom, which will then feed the plants. Overflow in the middle. And where am I at now? Okay, the wire baskets on the side here, I've got 3 hanging from the roof, plus I have some nesting areas coming from the wall as well in little tubes, just to be able to change it out easy. The nest boxes, same as my other aviaries, I'll put them all at the same height. So there's no difference in height. Station down there for all the nesting material. And basically it's a little bit more planted out now, but that was how I set it up first of all. So here's our water feature. This was inspired by Madeline's design. We got that water feature from Bunnings. I did remove that frangipani tree because I was told we can't have it in an aviary, so that's outside now. Basically, in that little red bucket down the bottom is full of scoria rocks, and the pump comes out of there. It's a solar-powered pump and feeds the water. The pebbles. The walkway, sorry, I should say. So what we did was I removed all the rocks into the aviary, and then Madeline set them out how she wanted to have a little nice little curved walkway.
It took a lot of time because I might be a little bit OCD, so it was very difficult to make it the lovely curve that it is.
Once we were happy with the design, then I laid plastic down underneath where the pebbles would be, installed the pebbles. And to the right here, you can see when they first go down, very dirty, but once we give them a good wash, cleaned right up. And then what we did was divided the aviary basically into 2. So undercover section has bark everywhere, so as it's a nice little ecosystem. On the outside is just natural dirt onto the left-hand side of the picture. Basically because that's open to the rain, and when it rains, it does get quite wet. But I did put a lot of irrigation and blue metal and such, so that the aviary dries out very quick, but the plants can still grow in the ground, which is the main thing. On the right-hand side here, where the bark is, when we do a feed out every day, whatever's left over, I tip mealworms, maggots, everything just in that little area there. So I'm basically getting a little ecosystem going. And now when I watch the birds, they pick through that bark, so there must be bugs, everything inside the aviary, which is really good. And that's what we wanted, to have it a natural.
Yeah, that's why we originally got the leaf mulch, because I had wrens in the aviary, and we were told that obviously wrens need a lot of live food, so therefore they like to forage for their food particularly. So we had lots of different feed stations, but I used to watch the wrens just constantly picking through the leaf mulch all day, every day.
Now, this is when we were painting the aviary. Basically, what we did was, first of all, we were advised that the wire needed to be weathered. Well, that was plenty because it took a long time to build the aviary, so it had a lot of time to clean off. We used vinegar to clean the aviary, first of all. Then we used the etch primer, and then the epoxy gloss enamel. But it's actually
matte.
It's a matte finish. And quite a lot of work in doing it. We didn't want to paint the whole aviary, so therefore there is still sections of silver you can see on the inside. But basically, when you stand on the outside, you just look straight into the aviary, and that's what we wanted, just a natural look. At the moment, it's all working quite good. The plants are growing really well. I've got some new pictures, but I just haven't loaded them up yet. But yeah, it's and Madeline said earlier on, the exciting times is that the diamond firetails have a nest. I can't check on the nest because it's too high up, and the way they've done is they've actually built a chute out to the front of the nest out of a nest box. So there's no way I could even remove the nest box to check it. But by calculations, they should have babies right now. I do have babies in another nest, which is Pictorellas. So that's very exciting. And the Ghoulians, even though they're a young pair, have laid 6 eggs and there's 5 ready to hatch. So they've only just been put in there.
A bit late, but if they want to breed, they can breed. So we'll see how they go. And this was the big tree branch that I mentioned earlier. So we've put it there to help reinforce the back because it's quite a big aviary.
Yeah.
And
so with that tree branch, basically in the middle, you can't really see it. I've hidden it as well as I can. There's actually a star pick. It goes down into the ground. It's concreted in. And that tree branch is about 50 mil diameter and it's concreted in as well. And then the forks come up and then I've actually bracketed them to the roof as well. So it gives support, but it still looks natural.
And this in the back corner was my wrens when I first put them in the aviary. To get them used to their new surroundings, it's good to, when you've got wrens or any other soft bills, to put them in a smaller cage in the aviary so they can get familiar with it. And then for a few days after you've released them, to keep their feed station there so that they know to come back. So we, in the end, because we've got Pictorellas, diamonds, wrens, and we did have weavers in there, there are a lot of live food birds. So we had 2 feed stations. We had down here with mealworms and then up in the normal section with all the different live food varieties. And this is a video of the aviary. It's a little bit fast, so I apologize for that. Not the best cameraman.
That plant up the end there is Chinese bamboo and it's growing really, really well. And I know the birds love to use it as shelter.
And we've added a lot more bush and like brush into the aviary as well since then, just to give them a lot more extra coverage. This is just a few pictures of the birds in the aviary. That was our lovely little Pictorellas. We've got 2 pairs of red brows in there as well. And we've also got Pa grows the salt bush at his house, and then we keep rotating the pots with our one because these lovely little Ghoulians, it was going perfectly fine. That was looking lovely in the aviary. Then when we put the Ghoulians in, they absolutely smashed the salt bush in the aviary. So we have a few pots going and then we just swap it in and out. And this was my lovely wrens that have kind of just broken my heart in the last few weeks. So when we first got them, as I said, they were in this little cage. They were both, like the boy was uncolored when I first got him. That's the girl on this side. And a few weeks prior, like a few weeks ago, my wren had an egg just behind here in a nest, and he was defending that in that picture. He always sat there every day, but unfortunately I lost the hen. So then a few weeks later, I lost the boy, and we think that the boy stressed not having the female, and he also didn't sit on the egg. So I lost the egg and the pair, unfortunately, which is very upsetting. But I hope to maybe at the end of the breeding season get them back, and maybe next year I should be good to go again with them. But they are a beautiful bird and they're one of my absolute favorites. So quite upsetting to have them both pass away and to lose my chances for this breeding season, but we'll try again next year, I guess. So that was it. Did anyone have any questions? And I'll have a look on YouTube as well if anyone has any questions or any other tips to share as well. And just remember, everyone's on mute, so if you want to talk, you've got to unmute.
Great presentation, Maddie and Steve. It's really good.
Thank you.
Thank you. No questions? That's all right. Sam, do we want to check in on the auction, the fake one, see how it's going?
Yes, I can do that, I guess. I've got it up here. I'll share my screen again. I'll show people. Looks like I'm going to pay $425 for a pair of toucans, or a pair of toucans, or just two cans. The next one. So I'm also the leading bidder on the dodos at $150. So getting quick, and there's, you can see the counter there. So there's only 6 minutes or 7 minutes or so to go. The French white millet, I did purchase some of those. I know a couple of other people did as well. Then, oh, hang on, that's not obviously not showing the whole lot. Well, I just jump back to all items. That's only showing the items that I'd bid on. Let's go through some of the others. So the green strawberries, notice there's 16 bids on those. So at the moment they're at 5,505. What's the next one? The Norwegian blue at 310. That sounds pretty cheap. I might buy them. So I'll put in a bid of 350 and place my bid. And let's see if somebody will outbid me. So maybe if somebody's watching, they can just run in and outbid me quickly, and we'll come back to the Norwegian blue and see what happens. So there's 6 minutes to go on those. There's the French white millet again. The Peter.
Oh, and Sam, I just noticed at the top it says in pink if you're the leading bidder.
Yes, yeah. So like that one. Where is it? Oh, I'm not now. Somebody's just outbid me. So the Norwegian blue's now at 405. So I'll put 410, and hopefully that'll make me the leading bidder again. And we'll just have a look at what Maddie was saying. No, somebody went crazy. Someone's just bid 2,800. So I'll bid 2,850. And let's see if I'm going to be the maximum bidder then. No, it's gone up to 2,900. Okay, I'll go crazy. I'll bid 4,000 and we'll see what happens. Yes, so now I'm the leading bidder at $4,000, and the next person's got to bid 4,005. So it says you're the leading bidder. You also get emails. So if I'll just jump to my email, and you'll see all these emails coming in. So they're saying, we're sorry, you're outbid, or you're the maximum bidder. So you get an email. So when the auction's going for 4 hours, you can sort of just watch your emails. You don't have to sort of sit there and stare at the auction the whole time. You'll get emailed if there's a problem. Let's just have a quick look. There's only, I'll just wait, I suppose, until it ends. This looks like there's 4.5 minutes still to go, basically, on these. So somebody's outbid me on remember I was the leading bidder on the toucan, so someone's outbid me now at 435. The Velociraptor encounter. Not real keen to do that one, but maybe you've got an enemy that you want to donate this to. I'll put 150 on that, say, and see what happens. Maybe somebody nip in and outbid me on that one, and we'll see what happens when we come back to that one. The violet ears are at 1,300 at the moment, so I'm not winning that one. The yellow-bodied stars are at 131. And look at that. There's 3 minutes left. So I'm still the leading bidder on the dodo birds. What I'll do is see there's now 3 minutes 30 left. Once it gets under 3 minutes, I believe if someone bids that auction for that, like for instance, if I bid when there's only 2 minutes left, that'll cause that auction to extend so that another bidder's got a chance to continue bidding. Perhaps we won't bother mucking around with that at this point in time. Once you win, you'll then get an invoice. You'll get an email delivered to you that has an invoice. So that when I bought the, wherever they are, thank you for your purchase here. So for instance, that was a buy it now. So I bought the seeds. So the French white millet seeds, and I, as an admin, went in and said that I'd already paid for them when obviously, this is a fake auction. So you get an invoice that says that you paid, and we'll include all the delivery details and all that sort of stuff. So you don't have to sort of, as long as you follow the prompts to actually pay via your credit card, everything will work really well, I think. So we're under 2 minutes. I'm still buying the Velociraptor Encounter. So violet ears have gone up. I think weren't they only $300 or something before? I'll just have a let's have a cheat and have a sticky beak. So they've gone up in the last couple of minutes from $800 to now $1,500. There's some people with more money than any of us. Still pretty cheap for yellow-bodied stars. That's pretty much a real price, I think, isn't it? Is that what they're worth? $130 yellow-bodied stars? Maybe it's even cheap. Dodo birds, I think I did have them. I don't anymore. So there's only, you can see here, there's only 1 minute 37 left. Maybe we'll just sit here and twiddle our thumbs for 1 minute 30. I'm not winning anything at the moment, I don't think, am I? Up here it's got, oh no, up here, actually, let's have a look what's up here. So that's got my bid. So I'm presuming that's going to show me, oh, that's the only thing I've won. So I don't actually have any current, I don't actually have any current items at the moment. So perhaps I'll cheat and I'll buy the dodo birds again. We've got 1 minute left.
Did we make that much on our thing day? That'll be fantastic. 34,000. Yes,
that's right. The club will be rich if people actually pay this much for birds on the 6th of December. Well, actually, all the sellers will be rich too. So now it's saying up there, isn't it, too? So I'm guessing when I click on that, view your items, it's going to show me. Oh, maybe I just lost. Maybe I just lost that item. It's gone back to 1, so somebody just outbid me. I'll go back to the dodo birds. Yeah, someone's bid $900. So there's still 19 seconds. I'll bid. Well, actually, let's let it end because they bid in the last 3 minutes. I think I set that when I set this one up. We'll see what happens. In theory, this won't end. It'll keep going for a bit. I'm not really sure what happens. So maybe we'll just watch and see whether I miss out on the dodo birds. No,
it ended.
Yeah. So I mustn't have set. Well, I mustn't have set the. There's a setting that makes it continue for 3 minutes. I mustn't have set that on this test auction, but I'll certainly do it on the others.
Yeah, so, the other one says extension thingy.
Yeah. Are some other items saying that?
No, our one, the actual one.
Yeah, ours. I think we've definitely set that. I mustn't have set it on this. So those have all sold now, and then we'd go in and we'll check the invoice and make sure that everybody gets. So people would be paying at the moment, and then we'll make sure that they get sent an invoice for each one, and that they pay, and then obviously we'll sort all the birds according to the delivery locations for the real auction. But that's good. It looks like it all works really well.
Yeah, I think it will be a really good thing. I think it's nice to see lots of people engaging with the site already. So thank you for everyone that has already gone on and had a little look at it. We've also got a lot of people already registered to be bidders for the actual day. So that's good. And if there's any questions or things like that in the lead up, just feel free to message us and we can work some things out.
So we've got 42 people registered for the actual auction itself, which is up there now, and we'll be adding, over the next few weeks we'll add all the sales table items and all that sort of stuff to the real auction site, which is the URL's there. So it's 30 for the real auction on the 6th of December. It's /FSA 2020 for that. Cool.
Perfect. And the only other thing is if people want to volunteer to please get in contact with me or Sam. Otherwise, we might start messaging some people for asking for some help. So yeah, if you're free on the day, send us a message because I'm sure there'll be jobs that we'll need people to do. Or if you'd like to be one of the drivers that picks up the birds, you don't deliver it to each different location. You just stop at one spot and then the buyers come to you. So it's not like, I think a few months back we said it might be all different places, but it's just one spot.
Yeah, we probably need half a dozen extra volunteers to stay there, to sort of arrive at 6 or 7 a.m. and stay for the day, basically to help us in the hall itself. Probably 6 or 7. We've got I think 10 or something so far. So we probably need another 6 or 7.
Yeah.
Right.
Perfect. And for the people that do normally attend the normal in-person meetings, we don't know what's going to happen just yet with the December Christmas party, but we're looking at a few different options. So just keep your eye out for an email or possibly the next magazine. If we can get it out early enough, that will have all the details for that in there. So I'll double check YouTube. That might be it for tonight, I think.
Hey Sam, just a quick one. I had I purchased some millet and it come up as items marked as paid $45, but I haven't paid nothing.
Yeah, I marked it as paid.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yep, I did. I marked it as paid just so to
Have a play. Yep.
Yeah, because I bought 100 of them. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Perfect. Well, thank you everyone for attending tonight. I know that the football's on, which are probably a lot of people are watching that instead, but that's okay. We always coincide with them once a year. So thank you for attending, and hopefully we'll see a few people at the auction via live stream or on the website or things like that. So thank you everyone.
Thanks,
Bye.
mate.
Thanks. Great job.
Thank you. Right.
See you, Matty.
See ya.
Thank you. Good
Right.
night.
Thanks, Matty. Thanks for the presentation. It's very good. And your dad.
Thank you.